This is a brand new program that is coming in the year 2017, looking at creating awareness among investors, traders, entrepreneurs, and the general business community on the tremendous opportunities and how to tap into these opportunities of investment in this country. Now, the program will highlight common information on doing business, diversification, and value addition, investment opportunities, market information, as well as, like I mentioned earlier, entrepreneurship. In this regard, our topic today on the program is doing business in Zambia. Now, we've seen a lot of investment opportunities in the country. We've seen a lot of people getting into entrepreneurship, but what can they do and what areas can they invest in? That is what we're talking about on the program. This is Investment Trends, and I'm your host. My name is Chilufya Mwelwa. Today on the program, I have a very interesting guest, and I'm sure that you'd be very happy as well to be chatting to this particular person. I'm joined by Mr. Patrick Chisanga, who is the Director General of the Zambia Development Agency, ZDA. And of course, he's going to open it for us and just help us understand what the ZDA is all about and how you can have access to that particular organization. Hello, how are you? Welcome to the program.
Hello, Chilufya.
Good to have you
on your program.
Well, it's good to have you on this program.
Thank you.
Right. Obviously, people are wondering, when we talk about ZDA, they hear obviously it's investment, it's something complicated. Just break it down for us. What is the ZDA all about? What is its mandate?
Well, perhaps before I talk about the mandate, Chilufya, I wish to say how delighted I am that we have finally got this program on the road, Investment Trends. It's 4 months ago now since we were here at the ZNBC when we signed the Memorandum of Understanding with your Director General to jointly manage and run this program. It's a program that is intended to show investment trends in our economy, in our country. It will showcase what's happening in various areas of investment, in exports, and generally economic stimulations right through our country and in all the 10 provinces of Zambia. Right. So it's really a great start, and I'll be looking forward to seeing the program unfold. Now, to the question that you have posed, what is ZDA? Zambia Development Agency is a statutory organization that was established by Act of Parliament back in the year 2007 under Act number 11 of 2006 of the laws of Zambia. Our main mandate is the promotion and fostering of economic development and growth throughout the country, ensuring that in so doing we are driving a private sector driven investment development strategy. Okay. The focus of this government is to stimulate the private sector to be the drivers of the economy. And in order to do this, the ZDA has 3 specific areas of mandate. One is the promotion of investments, which I'm sure we're going to talk about a little deeper. Secondly, it's the stimulation of exports, and in particular, what are described as non-traditional exports. What that simply means is that exports other than copper, cobalt, and other minerals. And again, we'll be able to go a little bit deeper into that. And thirdly, and this is very important for us at the ZDA, it's the stimulation of the Zambian entrepreneurs, the SMEs, to get them to grow from being micro to small to medium to large to extra large. And this involves a whole lot of steps that we can talk about. So in a nutshell, this is the Zambia Development Agency.
Right. Obviously, when you look around Lusaka, or maybe just around the country, because I know that you, as an organization, take time to go around the different provinces to see and sort of tap into what these people are doing. Does it excite you? Because just here in Lusaka, there's a lot of young people who are inventing, creating, and coming up with innovations that they want to put out there. Does it make you happy?
You know, it's a very, very exciting and a challenging assignment. to be driving the ZDA, because if you look back in the years prior to 1991, the entire Zambian economy was driven by investments that were government-owned. 80% of the economy was in government hands, and only about 20% was in private hands. And so we had the economic revolution in 1991, when the new government, the MMD government at that time, liberalized the economy. And the Zambians began to think outside of the box. Instead of looking for a job, instead of queuing up for jobs, Zambians began to think about themselves being entrepreneurs. Yes. And this is what has given rise to the tremendous industrial revolution that we are seeing happening in Zambia now. You just need to take a drive on Kalingalinga Highway and see the kind of industrial products, consumer products that are being manufactured by Zambians. This is nothing short of an economic revolution.
Fantastic. Let's look at how the Zambia Development Agency fared in 2016. I know we had elections. That's a busy time, obviously, even for investors wanting to bring investment into the country sort of slows down. How was it for you? How did you rise to the challenge?
Well, Chilufya, first of all, you're absolutely right. In any election year, not just in our country, not just in Africa, but everywhere else in the world, you'll find that economic activity by way of fresh investments tends to slow up, particularly here in Africa, because there are a lot of uncertainties about what government will come into office, what will be their policies, and so on, and how will it impact on those who are investing. So this happened in 2011 as well. It happened in 2016 with the presidential and general elections. Generally, there's a lull in investments. But surprisingly for our country, our observation and our statistics show that investor confidence in Zambia remained robust right through the election period. Let me give you some figures. According to our records, during the year 2016, from January to December, we recorded pledged investments. When I say pledged investments, I mean fresh investments against which we issued an investment certificate. This totaled 3.4 billion United States dollars, slightly better than what we achieved in the year 2015, surprisingly.
That's outstanding.
Absolutely outstanding. And I think that there are reasons for this. First of all, Zambia, in the whole of Africa, has probably got the best example of a very stable, a very peaceful, a very democratic country. And I think investors know that. And also you find that in Zambia, all successive governments, and certainly this government, has been strong on upholding the rule of law. Investors are very, very sensitive to these elements. And so once again, the Zambian people showed that we are a peaceful country. We are democratic, validly democratic. And this obviously saw that investments were continuing to flow. But in terms of actualized investments, in other words, the investments that translate into actual investments, this is where we saw projects slowing up a little bit.
Okay.
They were now waiting to see what happens after August 2016. And so we saw that in terms of actualized investments, there was a slow up. And I think we're closing the year on somewhere around $1 billion, just short of $1 billion. Okay. In the previous year, we did about actualized investments of about $1.4 billion. But the general trend in investments is that Zambia remained a very, very attractive investment destination with tremendous investor confidence in the community.
Well, that's fantastic to hear and very encouraging for people out there who'd be thinking, oh, maybe things are not so good. 2016 maybe pushed us in the wrong direction. There are people, obviously, Director General, who would like to say, well, how do I get started? What is the process? Where do I go? I know that you have a one-stop shop. But before we get to talk about it, let's just have a quick look and listen to some of the people who we found at the one-stop shop, their reactions, and also find out the services that you can get when you get there. Take a look.
No, it's easy because most people are in business.
Business in Zambia is quite easy as long as you are focusing. You know what you want to do, you want to achieve perhaps in life.
Okay, as it is now, it's a bit difficult because of e-payment. If you go to ZRL, there's e-payment, ZPP, there's e-payment. Wherever with this new tax online, people are finding it's very difficult to run business, especially to local Zambians.
It is a little bit difficult because a lot of people are in business. There is a lot of competition.
The only challenge which we are meeting is how to get contracts. That's the only problem is. But otherwise the registration is so fast. But on how to get contracts, it's a bit of a challenge.
Well, very interesting. Director General, you've heard some of the views. Tell us really quickly the whole concept behind the one-stop shop.
First of all, let me make clear one important point. There has been a misconception in the minds of some observers that ZDA really focuses on foreign investors at the expense of
the local ones.
The local ones. I want to make it abundantly clear that our focus is as much on foreign investments to attract foreign direct investments, but also to attract what I would describe as local direct investments. And we focus on both, really. In order to create a framework for both foreign direct investments and local direct investments, we established the one-stop shop. In the one-stop shop, an intending investor can register a company under PACRA within 24 hours.
Okay.
We are as efficient as that. Within 24 hours, an intending investor will have their incorporation certificate. They can register with the Zambia Revenue Authority, NAPSA, and so on, so that they are perfectly legal to start doing business. Having done that, the next step is to get or to try and secure an investment certificate, which is issued by the Zambia Development Agency. Now, the process is also very simplified, straightforward. There is a form that you need to complete, which has certain details and statistics and information, and along which you need to attach your project profile, your feasibility study, your business plan, and also you need to show evidence of how you're going to finance the project, and also a description of the area of investment that you're targeting. Because at the moment we have 5 priority sectors of investment in Zambia. It's energy. As you know, with the current outages, it's a very, very priority sector. Everything depends on having a sufficient supply of energy. Energy, manufacturing, tourism, infrastructure development, and mining remains a priority as well. So an investor will determine what area of investments they want to go into. And once they lodge their application, we guarantee that within 10 days, with all the documentation being in place, we will issue the investment certificate.
Okay.
Now, beyond that, depending on the area of investment and the type of investment, investors may also be entitled to access incentives. And this is very important because it acts as a catalyst to the investment process. We do have incentives which are available to investors who invest in a priority sector, and also a threshold of 500,000 United States dollars.
Okay.
The project must be of that magnitude. And the project must be located either in any of our rural areas, and look, most of Zambia is a rural area anyway, so most places qualify, or in our multi-facility economic zones, or our industrial parks. And if you elect to invest in any of these areas, we have very, very attractive incentives on the table.
All right. And this is for both international and local?
This is both for
investors.
international and local. No distinction whatsoever.
All right. Let's talk about the ease of doing business in this country. Yes, we've spoken about the political stability in this country and how that is attractive in itself. But in terms of somebody coming into Zambia, starting something, finding something to do, and of course going through the process of registration and basically setting up and starting to produce, how easy is it?
One of the things that our government has done over the years is to really facilitate the process of doing business in Zambia. A lot of bureaucracies have been done away with. A lot of red tapes have been done away with, without compromising the necessity to ensure that you're dealing with genuine investors.
Okay.
Everything has been simplified. And to the extent, let us not be the ones to judge this. Let me draw your focus to what the World Bank has rated Zambia in terms of the ease of doing business. In both COMESA and SADC, we are rated as the 5th best country in which to do business, with the ease of doing business well anchored. Other rating institutions in the whole of Africa, we are rated 8th. So this is a reflection to the extent to which it's so easy for an investor to come into our country and deal with the processes as long as they're a genuine investor.
All right. So then this person comes in, gets the registration done, gets their ZDA certificate, and now they want to start a project. What kind of projects can people get into? I know you've spoken of the 5 major areas that people can get into. For a local person like myself, what can I get into that you think can, contribute to the growth of this country?
Well, the areas of investment are vast. Let's take the energy sector, for instance. The energy sector is a priority sector, and traditionally, Zambia has been dependent on hydroelectric energy. But now we are opening up and trying to get to a mix of energy sources. Solar energy, for instance. There are opportunities to invest in solar energy, which are very easily accessible with tremendous incentives. And at the same time, apart from Zambians wanting to work on their own, what we do is create business linkages with foreign investors to partner with Zambians and strengthen their economic capability and the ability to develop major investments. At the larger scale, let me give you the example of Dangote. Dangote came to this country about 4 years ago, and it was the first major Africa-to-Africa investment that we recorded in our country with the intention of investing in the production of cement. So they come to ZDA, they go through the processes that I've described earlier, And the first thing that we assist them with is to secure land
Okay.
where they are going to anchor their investment project. And we have a process, a system within the ZDA, which works with the Ministry of Lands. And we secured, in the case of Dangote, the land in Ndola Rural. And thereafter, we assist them to ensure that they comply with the environmental requirements. We link them with ZEMA, Zambia Environmental Management Authority, to ensure that the environment is protected, the people who are living in a particular area are not going to be displaced, are going to be disadvantaged, and so on. And at the end of the day, the investor actually implements their project. And now we have a fantastic $400 million cement plant in Ndola, which has managed to bring down the cost of cement in this country very, very significantly.
Right. Well, 2016 definitely was a good year. When one looks at the multi-facility economic zones that are coming up in the city of Lusaka, of course, you've mentioned Dangote. But I want to find out what key areas, key sectors you're going to be focusing on as we come to the end of the program. What key sectors are you going to be focusing on in the year 2017? I know energy is very, very paramount, you know, as a sector that it needs a lot of investment. It needs a lot of people getting into it. What other sectors?
We are going to be focusing on agro-processing and value addition. For too long, this country has been exporting primary commodities, even copper, our groundnuts, maize, you know, unprocessed. And then we buy back the products which are value added elsewhere. So we are exporting jobs to other countries. So our focus is going to be to promote agro-processing and value addition. Last week, we were in the Eastern Province in Chipata. We were conducting an economic development symposium. And we discovered just how rich Chipata, or Eastern Province in general, is in terms of agricultural produce. But it's not being processed. So we are going to encourage investors in areas where they can invest in agro-processing. And it's not just Eastern Province. I can tell you about Luapula Province, where we have an investor who will be processing cassava. They'll be working with Zambians, 20,000 smallholder farmers growing cassava, and which will be sold to this investor in this plant, which is in the process of being developed to produce ethanol, which will reduce the cost of fuel, because we'll be blending about 20% ethanol. So agro-processing and value addition are going to be major economic thrust areas going forward.
All right, that's fantastic. Thank you so much. I'll give you 2 minutes, so just a minute to give your last words to our viewers. I know that this program will continue coming on and we'll have different guests coming through. Your word of encouragement to the viewers. Well,
as I said at the beginning, this program is going to showcase a lot of the developments going on around the country. ZDA will be approaching investors at different levels, farmers, industrialists, and so on. We want them to come forward and appear on this program and share with the country their experiences, their challenges that they are facing. That way, ZDA will learn as to what the bottlenecks are. And it's part of our job to devise interventions to unlock those challenges and to get this country moving economically forward at the projected growth rates. And as you may have heard already, although we dipped to 3%, the African Development Bank has already projected that Zambia is destined to grow to about 4.5% by 2018. So tremendous opportunities, tremendous support from ZDA. We cannot fail as a country.
Right, Director General, thank you so much for being with us on the program.
Thank you, Sheila.
Well, this is where we wrap up. Thank you so much for watching, and I'm sure that you have learned something about the ZDA. You've discovered, yes, maybe for the first time, that there is actually a one-stop shop where you can go to and register your company and start contributing to the growth of this country economically. This is where I wrap up. My name is Chilufya Mwelo. I'll see you next time with, we have another guest coming through, another interesting topic. So make sure that you follow this program. Bye-bye.